Cambodia's Air Force has fighter jets, 6 of them to be precise. They are Chinese-built FTC-2000G lightweight fighters delivered in 2023 as the most advanced fixed-wing aircraft in Cambodia's military inventory. They replaced aging MiG-21 jets from the Soviet era. State media celebrated the delivery with photos of gleaming aircraft sporting Cambodian roundels. Defense officials praised the modernization of Cambodia's air capabilities. But here is what is remarkable. As Thailand's Air Force conducts strikes with F-16 jets and Gripens fighters across the border conflict zone, Cambodia's brand new Chinese jets remain firmly on the ground. Not undergoing maintenance, not waiting for spare parts, not held back by weather or logistics, just parked. Grounded. Unused. Why? Because actually flying them in combat would be worse than not having them at all. It would turn Cambodia's most advanced fighters into live-fire targets for Thai F-16 jets, proving to the entire world that cheap Chinese export fighters are paper tigers. And that is something China cannot allow because Cambodia's Air Force is not really about defending Cambodia. It is about protecting China's defense export reputation and keeping a zombie defense industry alive. Today, we are going to examine why Cambodia's jets cannot take off, what this reveals about China's tiered export strategy, and how small states that try to play both sides discover they are actually playing neither. By the end, you will understand why weapons do not save you when the alliance is transactional, and your primary value is blocking ASEAN consensus rather than being a genuine military partner. Let's start with the immediate military reality, because the numbers tell a story of complete mismatch. Thailand's Air Force operates dozens of F-16 Fighting Falcons, proven fourth-generation multi-role fighters that have seen combat worldwide. They also field more than 10 Saab JAS-39 Gripen fighters, Swedish-designed aircraft optimized for network-centric warfare and known for exceptional capabilities despite being from a smaller nation. And critically, Thailand operates airborne early warning and control aircraft, including Saab airborne early warning and control systems that provide radar coverage and battle management across the entire operational area. This is not just a collection of individual aircraft. This is an integrated air combat system with NATO-standard networking, Link 16 data links, coordinated strike packages, and the ability to see and engage targets well beyond visual range. When Thai F-16 fighters and Gripens operate together under airborne early warning and control coordination, they are not just flying fighters, they are network nodes in a comprehensive air defense and strike architecture. Now look at what Cambodia has to counter this. 6 FTC-2000G fighters. Basic radar and avionics. No advanced phased array radar. Limited maneuverability and speed compared to modern fighters. Restricted weapons loadout with no beyond visual range missiles. No early warning integration, no data links, no electronic warfare capabilities, no networked operations. This is not a numerical disadvantage. This is a systems mismatch. Cambodia is not facing fighters. They are facing an entire integrated air combat machine designed to detect, track, and destroy aircraft exactly like the FTC-2000G before Cambodian pilots even know Thai aircraft are in the area. In this matchup, Cambodia's jets are not assets. They are targets. Let's examine what the FTC-2000G actually is, because understanding this aircraft reveals why it's so hopelessly outclassed. The FTC-2000G is a lightweight fighter trainer variant derived from the JL-9 Advanced Jet Trainer. It was never designed as a frontline air superiority fighter. It is essentially a trainer aircraft with some light combat capability bolted on, suitable for basic air policing, border patrol, and giving the appearance of having an air force without the cost of operating true combat aircraft. The deal was signed around 2020, with delivery completed by 2023. Cambodia purchased 6 aircraft at a claimed price of $8.5 million each, remarkably cheap for any modern aircraft, which should immediately signal the capability level. For comparison, Thailand's Gripens fighters cost over $60 million each. Even basic fourth-generation fighters typically cost $30 to $50 million. At $8.5 million, you are getting exactly what you pay for: a bare-bones airframe with minimal systems. The FTC-2000G features basic pulse Doppler radar with limited detection range and tracking capability. The avionics are simple compared to modern fighters. The weapons pylons can carry short-range air-to-air missiles and unguided munitions, but nothing approaching beyond visual range missiles, precision-guided weapons, or electronic warfare pods that equip Thai fighters. Maximum speed is subsonic to low supersonic, adequate for a trainer but insufficient for a modern combat aircraft. Maneuverability is acceptable for teaching pilots basic fighter tactics, but dramatically inferior to aircraft designed for actual air combat. Range and endurance are limited, restricting operational flexibility. In other words, this is an aircraft designed to look like a fighter jet while providing basic training and light patrol duties at minimal cost. It was never intended to face actual modern combat aircraft. So what does Cambodia actually use these jets for? The answer reveals the real purpose of this procurement. According to defense analysts familiar with Cambodian military operations, the FTC-2000Gs have been used primarily for training flights, occasional border patrols, and visible presence missions, flying over national events or conducting flybys during ceremonies. They fly rarely due to limited funding for fuel, maintenance, and operations. When they do fly, it is almost always peacetime training sorties in controlled airspace. This pattern is common among small nations that purchase military equipment for political rather than operational reasons. The jets provide photo opportunities. They give the appearance of military modernization. They signal alignment with the providing country, in this case China. But they are not actually intended for combat use, and everyone involved knows it. The problem is what happens when actual conflict emerges. Suddenly, the symbolic nature of these aircraft becomes a liability. If they stay grounded, it is embarrassing but manageable. If they actually fly against competent opponents and get shot down immediately, it is catastrophic, not just for Cambodia, but for China's entire defense export enterprise. Now let's talk about the bare-bones export model, because this is where China's tiered export strategy becomes visible. When China sells the FTC-2000G to countries like Cambodia, they are not selling a complete air combat system. They are selling standalone aircraft with no integration into broader defense networks. No early warning aircraft, no data link systems, no electronic warfare capabilities, no comprehensive training program, no logistics infrastructure. Just the aircraft themselves, some basic weapons, and minimal support. Compare this to what Thailand operates: F-16s and Gripens fully integrated with Saab, AEW&C early warning aircraft. Link 16 data networks allowing real-time information sharing between all platforms, comprehensive electronic warfare suites, extensive training programs with Swedish and American instructors, and robust logistics chains supporting sustained operations. Thailand can conduct coordinated strike missions where early warning aircraft detect targets hundreds of kilometers away. Fighter aircraft receive target data via data link without using their own radars. Electronic warfare aircraft jam enemy communications and radar, and strike packages hit targets with precision weapons, all coordinated in real time. Cambodia's jets can take off, fly around, and maybe engage targets they can see with their own eyes using short-range missiles. That is the entire capability difference in one comparison. The question is, why would China sell such inadequate systems to an ostensible ally? Here is where the export reputation angle becomes critical, because this explains why Cambodia's jets must stay grounded. If Cambodia flies these aircraft in combat and they get shot down by Thailand's older F-16s, which they almost certainly would, it becomes global evidence that cheap Chinese export fighters are ineffective against even aging Western systems. Every potential customer in Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East would see headlines saying, "Chinese fighters shot down by 30-year-old American jets." By keeping the jets grounded, China avoids public humiliation. Cambodia does not get air support, but China's export reputation remains intact. The calculation is clear: Cambodia's military effectiveness matters less than protecting the marketability of Chinese defense exports. This is not speculation. This is basic risk management for an export-dependent defense industry. If your product fails publicly in combat, your export market collapses. Better to keep the product out of combat entirely than risk exposure. Now let's examine the Pakistan comparison, because it reveals how China allocates military aid based on strategic value. Pakistan receives China's most advanced export fighters, the J-10C, a genuinely capable fourth-generation plus aircraft with AESA radar, modern avionics, integration with Chinese early warning systems, and access to the PL-15 Beyond Visual Range missile. Pakistan also receives airborne early warning aircraft, financing assistance for major purchases, technology transfer agreements, and co-production deals. Why? Because Pakistan is strategically crucial to China. Pakistan provides access to the Arabian Sea through Gwadar Port. Pakistan balances against India, China's primary regional rival. Pakistan offers a testbed for Chinese weapon systems in actual conflict zones. Pakistan matters. Cambodia? Cambodia is useful for exactly two things according to Chinese strategic calculations: blocking ASEAN consensus on South China Sea statements and serving as a gray zone hub for casinos, online fraud operations, and money laundering that generate revenue and intelligence for Chinese interests. Cambodia does not get J-10C fighters with AESA radar. Cambodia gets bottom-tier trainer jets repurposed as fighters. Cambodia does not get early warning aircraft and comprehensive training. Cambodia gets 6 aircraft and minimal support. The message is clear: you are valuable enough to keep aligned, not valuable enough to actually defend. Let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough: China's domestic industrial logic behind these exports. The FTC-2000G is manufactured in what defense analysts describe as a third-line factory, aging facilities that produce older generation systems and would otherwise be shut down as China's defense industry modernizes. These are essentially zombie enterprises kept alive for political reasons. They employ workers in specific regions. They maintain industrial capacity that might be useful in wartime mobilization. And they provide political patronage to connected officials. Exporting the FTC-2000G keeps these factories running. It provides revenue, even if modest, that justifies their continued existence. It maintains employment for workers who would otherwise need to be retrained or laid off, creating potential social instability. And it gives Chinese defense officials a talking point about successful export programs when justifying budgets. From China's perspective, selling 6 aircraft to Cambodia for $51 million total is not primarily about the money. It is about keeping an entire industrial ecosystem alive that would otherwise collapse. Cambodia is essentially subsidizing Chinese domestic industrial policy by purchasing outdated systems that serve Chinese internal needs more than Cambodian defense requirements. This also explains why the sales pitch to Cambodia emphasized that these aircraft were built in the same factory as J-10 production. That claim is technically true, but deliberately misleading. The factory makes both products, but the FTC-2000G shares almost nothing with the advanced J-10 beyond coming from the same geographical location. Still, it gives Cambodian officials political cover for the purchase. Officials can say they are buying from the same facility that produces China's most advanced fighters. Now we need to address the elephant in the room. Why did Cambodia buy these jets if they are so inadequate? The answer lies in understanding Cambodia's military not as a warfighting force, but as a commercialized security apparatus. Analysts say Cambodia's military has evolved into an entity focused more on profit than defense. Senior officers provide security for illicit scam parks, compounds where forced labor operates online fraud schemes. Military-controlled businesses extract revenue from commercial activities. The defense budget is as much a patronage system as a military investment. In this context, the fighter jets are not purchased to fight Thailand. They are purchased to signal alignment with China, to provide kickback opportunities in procurement, to offer photo opportunities that enhance the prestige of defense officials, and to create the appearance of military modernization without the actual capability. These purchases are about signals, not warfighting. The jets are part of a display package, symbols of statehood and military strength that look good in parades and official ceremonies. They are not intended for actual combat use because actual combat use was never the point. They are political theater, not real military capability. This is why keeping them grounded during actual conflict makes perfect sense from Cambodia's perspective. Flying them risks exposing the hollowness of the entire procurement charade. It is better to keep them safely parked while claiming strategic reserve or diplomatic restraint than to have them shot down and reveal publicly that Cambodia's most advanced fighters are obsolete before they even see combat. Let's examine what this broader pattern reveals about small states trying to play both sides in great power competition. Cambodia has attempted to maintain relationships with both China and the West, accepting Chinese military aid and infrastructure investment while also maintaining diplomatic and economic ties with Western nations and ASEAN partners. This hedging strategy is common among small states trying to maximize benefits from multiple great powers. But the Thailand conflict exposes the fatal flaw in this approach. When actual crisis arrives, transactional relationships provide no real security. China is not coming to Cambodia's defense. The jets China provided are unusable. The strategic partnership Cambodia thought it was building turns out to be China using Cambodia for specific limited purposes, such as blocking ASEAN consensus and hosting gray zone activities. There is zero commitment to Cambodia's actual security. Meanwhile, Cambodia's relationships with potential Western partners have been compromised by years of alignment with China on key issues. If Cambodia asked the United States or European nations for security assistance now, the response would be skeptical at best. Cambodia is discovering what many small states learned too late. Trying to play both sides means you are actually playing neither. You are a tool to be used by the power you align with and a problem to be contained by the powers you oppose. So what is the bottom line here? Cambodia bought 6 Chinese fighter jets for $51 million. Those jets are too primitive to fight, too vulnerable to fly, and too important to China's export reputation to risk in combat. They sit on the ground while Thailand's Air Force operates freely, not because Cambodia is being strategically clever, but because actually using the weapons China sold them would expose how worthless they really are. This is not about numbers. Thailand has more fighters, certainly, but even if Cambodia had 30 FTC-2000Gs instead of 6, the outcome would be identical. The jets are fundamentally incapable of surviving in modern air combat against networked Western systems. They are trainer-derived aircraft pretending to be fighters, sold by a defense industry more concerned with keeping zombie factories alive than providing actual capability. Cambodia thought it was buying security. It was actually buying theater, jets that look impressive in photos but cannot be flown in combat without catastrophic consequences for both Cambodia and China's defense export business. The broader lesson extends far beyond Cambodia. Small states aligning with China on defense matters need to understand what they are actually receiving: bottom-tier export variants with no system integration, no comprehensive support, and no real commitment to their security. The weapons are symbols, not capabilities. The alliance is transactional, not protective. When crisis arrives, those symbolic weapons stay grounded while the transactional ally watches from a distance, more concerned with protecting export reputations than defending partners. Cambodia's jets are not flying because flying them would reveal the truth, that China's tiered export model provides theater to symbolic allies while reserving actual capability for strategic partners. Small states trying to play both sides end up defended by neither. And in modern warfare, cheap fighters without system integration are not military assets. They are liabilities too dangerous to use. Don't forget to subscribe for more analysis on the gap between defense procurement and actual military capability. Thanks for watching.